Here comes Bod. Bod is thinking about a dog. One day, I'll have a dog, he says. But what dog? What dog is my sort of dog? Along comes Aunt Flo. Now, if Aunt Flo had a dog, says Bod, what dog would she have? What dog is her sort of dog? I know. A poodle, yes. She looks the poodle type. Good morning, says Aunt Flo. Good dog, says Bod, who could still think of nothing but dog. Then along comes Frank the postman. Now, what's Frank's dog? Says Bod. What sort of dog would Frank have? Yes, I think he's the terrier type. Good morning, Bod, says Frank. Good dog, says Bod, who can still think of nothing but dog. Then along comes Farmer Barleymow. Now, if Barleymow had a dog, says Bod, what sort of dog would he have? Yes, I think he is the sheepdog type. Good morning, Bod, says Barleymow. Good dog, says Bod, who can still think of nothing but dog. But I still don't know what's my sort of dog, says Bod. Is it spaniel? Or bulldog? Or Pekingese? Then along comes P.C. Copper. Now, what sort of dog would P.C. Copper have, says Bod. I know. He's the Alsatian type. Good morning, Bod, says P.C. Copper. Good dog, says Bod, still thinking of nothing but dog. What do you mean, good dog, says P.C. Copper. I was thinking about what dog I'd choose if I was going to have one, says Bod. It looks to me as if it's a case of the dog choosing the person, says P.C. Copper. Take a look behind you. Then Bod sees the dog that's been following him. Good dog, says Bod. The dog doesn't say anything. He seems to have chosen you, says P.C. Copper. He didn't choose me, or Barleymow, or Frank, or Flo. He chose you. So he must be your sort of dog, and you must be his sort of Bod.
There goes Bod. And here comes... what? Can you spot what it is? It's an animal of some sort. It's a cat. Another cat. And a squirrel. A rabbit. A dog. A stag. And a cow. Now, One of those animals is off to hide behind a tree. Which one do you think it is? There's a tail showing. And it's got long whiskers. It's the cat. Is there another animal behind that tree? Yes, there's its tail. And is that a horn? Yes, of course, it's the cow. Well, that's just a tree. No animal there. Tree with lots of branches. Hello. Now, there's something funny about those branches. They haven't got any twigs on them. They're not branches. They're antlers. It's the stag. The antlers did look like branches, though, didn't they? What's that? An animal with two tails. Let's have a closer look. It's not one animal, it's two dogs. Another dog. This dog is looking for a bone. Maybe he'll find it buried in the ground. 5 tasty bones buried in the ground. 5 tasty bones buried in the ground. But if one tasty bone should happen to be found, there'd be 4 tasty bones buried in the ground. 4 tasty bones buried in the ground. But if one tasty bone should happen to be found, there'd be 3 tasty bones buried in the ground. 3 tasty bones buried in the ground. But if one tasty bone should happen to be found, there'd be 2 tasty bones buried in the ground. 2 tasty bones buried in the ground. But if one tasty bone should happen to be found, there'd be 1 tasty bone buried in the ground. 1 tasty bone buried in the ground. But if that tasty bone should happen to be found, there'd be no tasty bones buried in the ground. Duke was a dog whose tail wagged a great deal. His tail wagged when his owner, Mr. Charlton, took him for a walk, and when he wasn't out for a walk with Mr. Charlton, just the thought of being out for a walk with Mr. Charlton would start his tail wagging. There was only one thing that stopped his tail wagging, and that was the sound of music. Now, this was a great shame, because Mr. Charlton liked to play the piano in the evening. But it made no difference. Even when he played the happiest music, Duke would just sit on the floor, his tail still, his ears drooping, looking thoroughly miserable. One day, Alberto Frog and his amazing animal band came to play in the bandstand in the park. The jolly music brought a smile to everybody's face. But when Alberto Frog saw how miserable Duke looked, with his tail hanging down, he tapped his stick and brought the band to a stop. "That's impossible," said Alberto. "There must be one instrument in the band that will make the dog's tail wag. Let's try the cello." And he pointed to Chimp on cello. Duke's tail didn't stir. Said Alberto, and pointed to baboon on bassoon. But that didn't work either. Maybe something more unusual, said Alberto, and pointed to elephant on the tuba. And the tuba did the trick. You've done it, said Mr. Charlton. How can I thank you? Well, said Alberto. The monkeys knew what he was going to ask for. The squirrels knew what he was going to ask for. The badger knew what he was going to ask for. Well, said Alberto, I wouldn't say no to a milkshake. Certainly, said Mr. Charlton. Any particular flavour? It's going to be raspberry, thought Badger. It's going to be strawberry, thought the squirrels. It's going to be chocolate, thought the monkeys. Who do you think was right? Chocolate, please, said Alberto. The monkeys were right. Were you? There goes the animal band. And here comes... Do you remember? Bod. And here comes... Do you know? Aunt Flo. And here comes... Who's this? Frank the postman. And here comes... Farmer Barleymow. And last, but not least, P.C. Copper. 2 P.C. Coppers, snap. 2 Aunt Flo's, snap. Bod and Frank the postman. No, that's not snap. Those are 2 different pictures. You say snap when you see 2 pictures the same. Bod and Aunt Flo. No, that's not snap. Bod and Copper. No. Bod and Frank the postman. No, that's not snap. Bod and Bod. There's Bod on one side and Bod on the other. Snap. There goes Bod and his friends. But he'll be back.